She's just a girl and she's on fire. There you go, Quack.
Alright, I am here. Sorry, it was slightly slower today. I was attempting to eat breakfast. It did not go well. I'm just kind of chewing constantly. But yeah. Anyway, Jester, thank you for taking care of Holo. I really appreciate it. Total of 15 on the channel means the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi. This cat was unbearably cute last night. He's just like laying on my chest. Just being super comfy. And then at about 6 a.m. was just screaming until I got up and gave him water. Like, when I say screaming, I mean screaming. Yes, I'm talking about you. I know you're ignoring me. I know you can hear me. Screaming. So I need this coffee today. Anyway. Hope you've all been having a wonderful day thus far. Paradox, Swin, David, Holo, Jester, Yankee Von Lettuce, Don, anyone else who might be lurking about. I appreciate you being here. So today, I want to go to Chaos 100 on the hammer throwing build. Messing around a bit with a couple spells I managed to acquire briefly experimented with an alternate skill tree. I think I'm sticking with the one that I have now. I moved one skill point from the last time I played it. But after that, I think I want to do Ghostblade. Because we did some Dreadwind. It was only like C61. But we did some Dreadwind. Last Wonderland stream. I want to do some Ghostblade at high chaos, because I haven't done that yet. So, Clawbringer with Hammer Throw to 100, play that for a while, and then if I want to change it up, we'll switch to Ghostblade. Morning, Urban Mac. How you doing? I'm gonna come for breakfast and you'll have to chew. I normally do keep a pack of gum on my desk so I can chew something whenever I feel the need but don't have an appetite. But I ran out. I have bank space. Am I feeling okay? That should be fine. Should fix that bank space problem. Do you have whatnot pistols? Do I keep any around? No. Doing okay? Glad to hear. So Smithy's Ire. Deals melee damage. So I didn't have a good one before yesterday. Now I do have a good one. So this should be a good option for things like Drill Phase 2, where the lightning resist stops me from killing as fast as I could. I'm gonna try it out on trials, because normally I run the Empowering Sigil, and I think long-term the Empowering Sigil is still going to be my preferred option, but it's nice that Smithy's Ire can fit in. Hi Senna, good to see you. How am I doing? I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. My sleep schedule's been a little bit awkward the last couple days, but I can't complain too much. Thank you, Skeep. Ouch. So many flying enemies. There we go. What does the Skeep do? It heals you. Whenever you're under 50% HP, the Skeep will start flying around and it'll periodically heal you. You can also kill it for a death save if you need one. Morning, Grasshopper. Or his has, I don't even know mine anymore. Oof. That's a mood. Trying to do a gun damage focused companion build. People avoid using whatnots and guns with wings. Who avoids that? Because if someone's telling you to avoid using those for power reasons, then either they're saying they're too strong, or those people have no idea what they're talking about. You can absolutely make very viable builds with whatnots and shrikes. Because whatnots and shrikes, not only do they have a very high damage, they can trigger Geist in the Shell and play the angles. Among many other things. They can apply crossbolts in the case of Fear Not Shrikes. So you can absolutely do that. And people aren't using at least all the save files I go through. That's the thing with going through save files and going off popularity for stuff. Genki Von Lettuce. What people know is not related to what people use. Popularity does not equal value. For example, the first week of the game, there is a very loud category of people who were absolutely insistent that the only things you could use in the entire game were nightshades, spriggans, and the liquid cooling. These people were very insistent about that. Was that true? Absolutely not. But it's what was popular, so it was seen as truth. Trust me, you can absolutely do a lot of work with any variety of the flying Fury or companion weapons. Morning, Natas. Been a minute. Hope you're well. Remember when people told me Deathless wouldn't work? Yep. I do remember that. Give me, it's been covered. Can Smithies trigger alchemical? It can, Milk Lizard. It can. Any melee damage can trigger alchemical. Alchemical does not have a condition that says, like, melee attack or anything. So if it's melee damage, alchemical can happen, like there. Hey, Fireball. How are you? We're in Deathless right now, 201 on the Greyborn skill. So the thing with Lord of Edges, the skill you're referring to, is ultimately that's not very good. It sounds a lot better than it is. Because it forces you into, if you're boosting it with armor, it forces you into an armor that the other 4 skill points aren't very good. And even that one good skill point is less impactful than getting, say, Blast Gas on your armor if you're doing spell damage-based build, or other beneficial things from your skill trees. Generally, a good rule to follow is, in most cases, skills that give you stat increases in trees are not very good. Skills that give you interactions are very good. So what I mean by that is, Arsenal is an absolutely terrible skill, one of the lowest value in the entire game. You can get 18 points worth of Arsenal's gun damage by equipping 1 ring at high chaos tiers. Arsenal is awful. But Alchemical Agent is completely incredible. Contagion is incredible, because those aren't stat increases, those are interactions. Those are things that benefit from the stat increases you get elsewhere. So you want things like Contagion from your armor. But getting something like a percentage of damage from your armor skills, not great. People still saying wards don't work and things just one tap you? Well, those people aren't living in reality. It's that simple.
Hi.
It's simple, Rick. Thank you for the Prime for the 15 months. I appreciate it. Something I've been very consistent about saying regarding enemy damage is when people started complaining about it, I made absolutely certain to point out that it was a user issue. Because you cannot lower enemy damage to a point where those people are satisfied. You can't, because it's still always going to be a problem. But because it's able to hurt them. Wastard has been nerfed 5 times. 5 different ways. And, there's still people who are like, oh man, they never fixed this boss. Yeah, it's a user issue. At a certain point, it's a user issue. Hi, Fleece. Sorry it's been a while. I've not managed to play Wonderland since new characters. Still haven't played as I missed much. The game has improved a lot. A lot of cool things have happened, Fleece. It's a good time to come back if you're into it, but it's good to see you. I hope you've been well. Could be wrong, check that enchant before, I don't think it applies that for whatever reason. I've heard conflicting information on that. I don't know the latest on that, so for now I will defer to the assumption that it doesn't. It's way more friendly to casual players than when it first launched, yes. Absolutely, wholeheartedly agree. Anyone telling you different probably doesn't know how to build in Borderlands in general. I mean, you're not wrong. IMO, I agree. I'll check after work. Yeah, it's, basically with health reservation and ward reservation effects in this game, some of them are inconsistent in terms of what counts. So, like, for example, for some effects, unarmored defense over the Berserker tree, the one that reserves half your wards and turns it into health. For some effects, that looks at your new maximum, the reservation point, but for other effects, it looks at the old maximum. The same may or may not be happening with Deathless with health effects. But it's harder to tell because there's only 2 effects that look at your health percentage other than missing health regen. So there's 3 kinds of effects that look at your health percentage in this game. And they're all harder to quantify than the other ones. Or people who play the first month and just basing their criticism off that experience. A lot of people will develop a picture of how they think things work off like the first week of the game, where nobody knows how anything works, and obviously before lots of changes have happened, and then they don't budge from that picture of how things work. They do not adjust their perspective with new information. And what's important is adjusting your perspective with new information is part of what makes you a good build crafter, for example. I'm sure Holo and others in the chat who make a lot of builds can attest to that. You find out something new, you adjust. But if you're unwilling to do that, then of course you're going to end up in situations where you're like, oh, the game needs to be made easier across the board. Because it couldn't possibly be the fact that they're not equipped for what they're doing. It's obviously the game's fault, you know? A never my fault sort of deal. Like, I can say with confidence in this game that whenever something kills me, it's my fault. Like, I fucked up. Oh, companion builds, Banshee's giving me issues. Yeah, what about Banshee's giving you problems? Are you matching elements? A lot of people will not capitalize on the fact that Banshee is a flesh health bar. If you got a fire version, whatever you're using, it does a lot of damage. Also, remember to debuff where necessary. If you're using gun-based things on a boss, then keep in mind you can throw crossbolts in the mix for extra damage. If you're using melee-based things, you can throw in crossbolts. If you're using shock or cryo damage, you can use soaked. Make sure your enchantments are in order. Has an aura that destroys flying companions, what I read at least. Banshee has an aura around her that does damage, yes. If you throw from far enough away, you'll have time for the companions to do damage before they fly off into the sunset, the Banshee-shaped sunset. Try throwing from farther away. They'll still be destroyed, but they'll shoot more. Hey, cheese. I just wait for people smarter than me to do the testing. I mean, I do that too. It's just I also talk a lot while I play, so I sometimes stumble into ideas. How's Yakuza treating you? My extent of testing this game is find out ASA and chance work as action skill start for 60 seconds. They fixed that pretty early. Still, I mean, we only found out about that because you were testing it in your stream, so you tested a major thing that became a staple for a while. Lots of people put in lots of work for the whole community picture of how the mechanics in these games work. Help the meta become abusing a bug. Hey, at the time, enchantment bricking was still a thing, so you helped people not feel completely discouraged by having an enchant that didn't do anything for them. Hope I can find one on multi-edit Hydra. I hope you can find one too. Talking to change opinions, Out the Cleric said yesterday, he initially said, well, the patch overall was really excellent. Chaos 100 is a mistake. He said he was wrong with the Chaos 100 part. That's a good streamer to change their opinion. Alec is a guy who operates based on reason. Like, he's a very open-minded individual. So he will actually have discussions on the merits and flaws of things. And he's got an analytical mind. It's what makes him a good interviewer. I recommend checking out his podcast, Temple Confessional, if you've not already. I was on the first episode, but it's been weekly ever since, and there's been a lot of cool guests on there. Highly recommend you check it out. But he's a good interviewer, and a good creator, and a good editor, because that analytical mind, you know? Having an open mind gets you really far, not only just in life, but professionally. It makes you better at a lot of different things. Let's go wards. Now, because it was good, Ragdoll's still crazy. Minigames are still in 30 FPS. 30 FPS? Pain. Hey, Kitty, how are you? Played the game on release, then took a long break till a couple weeks ago. Breaks are healthy. It's important that if you're not enjoying something, and it's, like, supposed to be fun, then don't force yourself to do it. With how modern games work, a lot of them get post-launch support, a lot of them get post-launch overhauls, and a lot of them will gradually change over time, and your preferences might shift over time. So something that's not for you in one moment might be to your liking later. Taking breaks is healthy. But I read sound like they split up the chaos levels in half. Like your Justice School system. So the way it works now is, as Holo said, it's 10 or 11 runs to get to 50. You can get 5 chaos levels unlocked for every chaos trial you do up to 50. Or just abuse the glitch. Well, that doesn't help anyone. Because using the glitch, one, it's using glitches. I'm not personally a fan of that. But two, it bypasses the entire point of having to progress. And that point is that you have to know what you're doing in some capacity to perform above a certain level. Let's compare this across games. So Borderlands 2, with OP levels, you needed to do Digistruct Peak to unlock your next highest OP level. That is a wall that stopped a lot of people, which is a good thing, because if you're trying to crank up to a higher difficulty level and you can't complete an entry-level activity to get to that difficulty level, that is the game telling you to change your builds, that is the game telling you to learn what your character is doing better, that is the game telling you to improve something about your approach. Borderlands 3 didn't require any of that progression with Mayhem levels, so what we got was people skipping to max Mayhem 10 or 11, depending on, you know, what time in the game this was, and then complaining it was too hard. So we got a series of unnecessary buffs to things, we got a series of unnecessary nerfs to things, because people didn't have the self-control. So in Wonderlands, we're back to enforced progression, but unlike the previous games, max gear isn't on the max level. So max gear unlocks at 50, and there's 50 more chaos levels. So there's still progression if you want to, but it's optional. Bypassing it, it just kind of defeats the purpose. And also, since you can gear out on the lower tiers, I'm explaining, Kevin. You can gear out on the lower tiers anyway. You're just bypassing gameplay. So they scale down the damage a bit to balance it out. Season damage-wise, 100 is like has 55 or something. 100 is old chaos 50, enemy damage-wise. Enemy health now goes way higher than it used to, but enemy damage caps out at the point where it was before the patch. Except, they also nerfed the damage of 2 bosses, and changed the mechanics of 2 bosses. So, bosses are easier. I have two C50 and two C20 builds, and I was burned out, and I played for a month, thinking to return it again. I love this game and really want more stuff to do. The gearing feels so much better now because here I'll look at my loot real quick, and then I'll step out into the lobby so you can see what I mean. But you can kind of see it here. Health Adaptive Ascended Trick Mirror, that is a perfect trick mirror. You can see what I mean here. Everything here is Ascended or Primordial. The higher you go, the higher your chances of Ascended get, capping out at 51.6%. But every single drop that happens is relevant to you now, if you're at a high enough chaos. Like, there's no more, oh man, I wish this was useful to me, but it's a low chaos tier. It doesn't happen anymore. It is simply not possible. Game feels way better in the loot department now. Assume C50 100 grind is static and excludes CLC bosses? Yes. Exclamation point Chaos Trials shows you the entire list. Interesting thing we were talking about in Lazy's stream yesterday, because of how they restructured the trials. Sorry for my bitrate today, my connection is really struggling for some reason. Because of the way they restructured Chaos Trial skips, and they added one in to break up the monotony a little bit. You don't have a mandatory drill fight until Chaos 59. The first mandatory Wastard is 35, and the first mandatory drill is 59. I just thought that was interesting. But if you look at Chaos mode here, I just unlocked 93. 3,808% enemy health, which is 2,000% more than old Chaos 50. Enemy damage, 186%, which is 14% less than old Chaos 50. XP, Gold, Moon Orbs, Loot Luck, all much higher. And if you look at my gear drop chance, it's 51.9 for Primordial, 48.1 for Ascended. There is no Volatile gear, there is no Chaotic gear, there is no non-Chaotic gear. The lower tiers are gone. So with lower tiers being gone, and Loot Luck being higher, farming's just better. You get more loot, you get more of what you need. They made it so you can feed up to 2,000 crystals to a bunny at once and get an even more favorable loot split. So you spend less time looting and more time playing. It's just better. They just made it better across the board. You might hear some weird talking points about people saying, oh, this update did damage to the game. Yeah, they can't follow that up with anything because there's no examples of what it did. It is entirely positive. The one thing, and this is something that only applies to the more obstinate, hardcore weirdos like myself, is that enemy damage being so far divorced from enemy HP means that tank builds are a little less desirable at the highest chaos levels because you need the damage more. And there's less need for the tank. So the need for damage went up, the need for tank didn't. So proportionally, tank builds are a little less desirable, but that's the only gripe I have with the update. Literally the only one. Wish it was easier to look through loot on the ground. Well, I wish it was too. Some sort of filter system would be good. The closest we have is the fact that, like, with everything being a relevant chaos tier, you can just kind of glance at what the item is now and decide whether it's good or not based on that. So you don't have to be like, oh, well, normally I wouldn't use this item, but it's a high chaos tier, perfect parts. Yeah, you don't have to do that calculus anymore. It's just, if it's a good item, it's a good item.
Ready to burn it all down?
74, 75, Volatile falls out, just Primordial and Ascended. Yeah, I can go over this real quick. So we'll go up from 50 here. So 50, 23.4 Chaotic, 37 Volatile, 37 Primordial, 2.4 Ascended. Then going up from there, you see Chaotic starts to fall out, Ascended starts to spike really hard, Primordial spiking really hard, Volatile's going downwards as well. And by the time you get to C61, that's the first one where HP is higher than old enemy C50 HP. And you get to C64, Chaotic Gear is gone. Everything you're getting is volatile or better. And then you get to C75, volatile is gone. Then you get to about C80, and C80 I feel is where most optimal farming is going to be done. Because you have a 60-40 split between Primordial and Ascended. Enemy HP is only 1,000% higher than old C50, roughly 1,000. So the time to kill hasn't gotten too much slower. And you're still getting good rewards across the board. You don't need to be on 100 on every build. It's just not a thing you have to do. Yes, Kevin, my connection is very frustrating today. I agree. Hope you're doing well, sounds fun. Banshee versus Ghostblade makes me cry. You can do a little interpretive dance to get it to hit, Paradox. You have to go to the side. Remind me when I'm playing Ghostblade later. Haven't done any of the DLC, should I? I mean, if you own it, you have no reason not to do it. Might as well experience it, see if you like it. Personally, DLC 2, I avoid on most of my builds because of the boss. Just, her hitboxes don't work well.
Enter if you dare.
Wonderland's UI moment.
But seriously, you should dare.
But DLC 4 was quite good. In particular. If you want to know which one's, like, the best. Air quotes. Best. So I normally use an Empowering Sigil, but I'm trying out a Smithy's Ire today. And I am noticing that I am, taking a lot of hits I wouldn't have otherwise. Sigil spells are goated, and they spoil you. Hey Ruin, how are you? Alright, I got my friend in Wonderlands who wants a melee build, doesn't rely on Face Puncher and just Clobbering as his base. Have you looked at the screen today, Genki Von Lettuce? Have you put together what I'm doing? I'm surviving. That's something, Rune. Warrior Echo. Before your very eyes, this is a melee build involving Clawbringer that does not rely on Stab-O-Matic. It is happening live. Triple Radius roll Smithy's Ire, gotta try that out. Ooh, that's probably huge. That sounds fun. Helpful you found Dark Magic on your Scalawag to be. It's not necessarily helpful in any significant capacity, Rune, but it doesn't hurt me in any way, and it gives something. Like, none of the other elements are gonna provide any benefit, because the Frost one isn't actually gonna freeze anything, because we're not gonna do enough damage with it. We're not a Blight Caller, so we don't need the poison one for Bog Down. And then Fire is unnecessary because Oath now covers it. Lightning is unnecessary because Oath covers it. And also we don't want to be that committed to one element for resist purposes, immune purposes. There's no element that works better than dark.
Bleeding was so awful.
That's why I'm here. Good place to be. Another thing I still see people do from time to time is downplay Clawbringer. Clawbringer is very good. Like, Stormdragon's Judgment is one of the best action skills in the game. Indomitable is one of the best defensive skills in the game. Awe is one of the best damage skills in the game. Firebolt is one of the most efficient damage skills in the game. Oath of Fire, Oath of Thunder, and Dragon Aura are really, really good, and they're in the first 2 tiers. Like, the first up to 15 skill points you put into Clawbringer are amazing. Storm Breath is one of the best defensive skills in the game that also gives your pet a very good attack. Like, Clawbringer Tree is great. It's got a couple things that aren't. Cleansing Flame sucks. Radiance, Dedication, Blasphemous Favor are meh. Friend to Flame is very situational, and Storm Smite is bad. But if you look at the things that are good, it is more good than bad. Again, people just really circulated the talking point that Claw bad at launch, and they never adjusted their perspective based on new information. I was skeptical of Clawbringer at launch as well. We learned more, and the game changed, and I adjusted my perspective. Hey Archimedes, good to see you. Magic gets about 5% HP back, shoots an enemy a few times, trash mobs that is. Yeah, shooting the bar forms would give me an amount. It's more than nothing. And because I do also have Desperate Enchant and a missing HP passive, that all combined can sometimes be relevant. Smithy's Hour, Lockmine, difficulty 4. Yeah, to get Smithy's and the bunnies and stuff, you need to do difficulty 4. I want to say for Fyodor himself, it's behind form 3 for, like, the wheel, but I don't quite remember. I'll trust Urban Mech on that. A Moxie named it useless, so all Moxie's wrong. To put it in no uncertain terms. Also, how current is that information? How recently was that statement made? Another thing people do is they will continue to recirculate old information because they don't look at timestamps. Still, to this day, you'll have people running around sharing information from September 2019 for Borderlands 3. When that game got 2.5 years of post-launch support and things changed. Probably a launch take. That's what I'm assuming. And reiterating, at launch I was also a non-believer in Clawbringer. Combination would make a good Wyvern build. Spore Warden has the most companion damage in skill tree. So Spore Claw would probably be decent. Of the class feat companions, the Wyvern does the most damage, by far. But it's something that does require a lot of investment, and likely is not going to make it all the way up the Chaos tier ladder, because class feat companions just aren't built that way. But it is possible. That was a fast room. In fact, the Wyvern is so good that I still believe Clawbringer has the easiest leveling experience. Because based on the Wyvern being the strongest of the class feats, you getting Storm Dragon's Judgment is an amazing action skill, and then you have a very solid first 15 points, and a capstone that's good early on, and good survivability tech. I think Clawbringer is the easiest leveling experience out of all the characters. And I don't think it's close. Like to see an actual pet build like the janky flak one we had. That's something that I'm open to messing around with, Al. I'm open to the idea.
Put someone in a cast.
Ugh, connection today.
Flag tank.
I was thinking about the people who say there's no gameplay. It just doesn't make any sense. You have to do the story, find all collectibles, and dice, do all the obelisks, do the 4 optional zones, do each DLC up to 4 times. That's all before Chaos Chamber. Yes. Once again, it's talking points taking precedence over reality. Been wanting to do a Claw Spore Wyvern build after doing Pog Totem, been too busy. Sound like a fun Chaos Com experience. I think it's something I might set some time aside and theory craft a bit. If you do upload a save file, I can show off to my friend.
Miss that, right?
I think once I make some more progress with some other back-end stuff I've been working on, and hopefully collab a little bit on that this weekend, with some of the team, I'll probably start posting saves for stuff as we nail down more optimized setups. And I've been saying that for a while, but we're actually close to that now. However, does benefit from melee damage? Correct. It is not melee. It is a companion. Probably gonna require perfect gear to be usable. Be funny. Yeah, Owl. It's gonna be very specific gear. But fortunately, very specific gear is more plausible than it's ever been before. Like, seriously, you about a 50-50, if not slightly more favorable for getting the highest tier. So it's not perfect. It's not like, for example, BL3 where if you're on Mayhem 10, all your stuff is Mayhem 10. It's not quite like that, but it's closest. And it's the best we've had with the bunny farming system, which allows you to target farm items much more effectively. So it's a lot more feasible to have, like, perfect anything now. So all those YouTube builds you might have seen people running around with when Ascended Gear first got put in the game, that's like, yeah, there's no way you farmed that. Well, that stuff is plausible now. Ghostblade setup gets Stabbo, Blight instead of Claw now, right? For my personal preference, yes, but you can absolutely make it work with Claw instead of Blight if you wanted to. It's an Ascended Stampede. Could have been better, though.
Armor still Colossal Pain, as it always will be. Morning, Arctic Ninja, how you doing? Do Livewire chain scale based on card damage? I don't have Livewire formula memorized off the top of my head, but it's more important to make sure that your actual melee damage does more. If anyone does know the answer to that, feel free to step in. Like, I'm pretty sure some of my melee builds still use the Livewire and still have Chaotix on, like, C60+, because it just matters how much damage your melee itself is doing. But maybe. Livewire is one of those things I never bothered to stay 100% up to date on the formula because they changed it 3 different times. Yeah, I'm thinking for that Wyvern setup. Probably Amnesia. Probably Amnesia. Melee impact damage times 0.35. There you go. So, it doesn't. Entirely based on your melee hit. There you go. So, any Livewire is good. The mag size thing no longer matters, and the card damage of it doesn't matter. So, literally any Livewire. Armor pain reduced by like 50% at C100? Yeah. I'm gonna favorite this, and then let me go back to this for a while. I like the Empowering Sigil. It's comfy. Chaos 94. Let's go. Level 1 Livewire time. You could. With level 1 Trikes? You could. Yeah, I just like the playstyle with the Empowering Sigil so much more. I still gotta try out a plate mail for this. So I wonder if getting the extra alchemicals is worth. Because I'm losing area damage on that 30%. Level 1 Chaos 100 builds like the old Amara gear run. Yeah, exactly like that. For anyone who doesn't know what Archimedes is talking about, I did a run on BL3 of the True Mallow on Takedown, which is one of the game's 2 raids, with gear. This was at level 72. I did it with level 72 gear. But I don't mean all my gear was level 72. I mean the levels of all my gear added up to 72. That was a fun one. Skeep. Level 1 Amnesia. I'm thinking about it. love the pickaxe. Really get to near him.
She's on fire.
Hey, Stump.
Quick.
The man named Quag was known far and wide to be of the mathliest gamers in all the land. His builds contained obscure numerology and sometimes summed to 72. His reasons were his own, but chat like it anyway.
Thank you for the 17 months with the year streak, Stump. I appreciate it. Means the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, your text-to-speech shit poster. Mwah. Beautiful, beautiful. Loot onto me. I'm on melee build. I have to. There we go. Stats of fortifying sigil remain the same regardless of level? Yes. They do. Rarity is the only thing that changes it. It's still 20% and 20% global and 8% heal, at least on the card, even at low levels, if it's a purple. How you doing? Doing well, TSG. How are you? Good, thanks. Glad to hear. Yeah, between the freeze, the barrier, and the fact that it can trigger Blade, I really do prefer Empowering Sigil here. Like, Smithy's Ire is great for direct damage healing. I think both are worth keeping around. And probably a situational swap to Smithy's for the situations where Empowering doesn't help. Like, Drill Phase 2, the Maker. Definitely for those. Oh, Smithy's for a Meldo would probably be great. If we get an Imelda today, I'll try out Smithy's. If that works, then I'll feel more comfortable about going for the Awe spec instead of the Blade spec. But I do like having Blade. Yep, dot. Let's maybe it's because it's more killing. Definitely get hit more, which sucks. Shark swimming on land. Yep, Cal, it do be like that. Two main melee weapons are pickaxe and rage handle, both contact melee. I just love that chant. It's a fun one. Love rocket launchers. I gathered that. Hey, Lazy, how you doing? still need to get this game. Still got the affiliate link if you need to buy it. Cal, exclamation point Wonderlands. It's a good time. It's a good time to get into it. Last week's patch, like, did a lot of cool shit for the game. Like, it just made the game better. Everything good about the game, they made it better. Vampire Hilt and Wit are on Namba. Oh yeah, Stump. You can't really run those things together, because as soon as you hit, you lose the Curse Wit effect. Unless you have a dot on yourself and are running a very low-level Curse Wit. At which point, I guess you could. Like, if you had Amnesia on you, I guess it would work. But eh. Okay, Parasite, I'm sorry, little one. Even then, I'm not sure that works. Yeah, because the timing probably still doesn't line up. Because you're getting the HP back as soon as you hit. And that might mean you're getting the wards back, excuse me, as soon as it hits. That might mean just as soon as you hit, you no longer have the damage. So it might mean that it completely prevents you from ever having the damage. Either way, Vampire and Curse Wit is a combo that you should not use. Then Nombo is not a combo. Yeah, that is how we were discussing it. Yeah. I was agreeing. I was expanding on the point. What do we got here? Greed Warden still makes me scratch my head. Like, it's got a low crit chance, it's got no additional crit damage. The swing speed is middle of the road, and the base damage is kind of bad. Greed Warden is one of those things that seems really good, but with how much we've been messing around with using the crit stats of weapons to boost melee things in general, like hammers, it just doesn't seem worth in any scenario. Which is kind of sad. I think Greed Warden, Petty Tantrum, Ragnarok, Fatebreaker, Pincushion could all use some love. Storm Surge could use a bug fix. Like, look at Greed Warden, 5%, 100% for crit chance, crit damage, 1.4 attack speed. And then just look at this Great Axe. Like, Now look at this hatchet. Look at this hatchet. This hatchet's better. It's an awkward place to be. Oh, nice in this kind of build, going Curse Whip with Crit Tech feels a lot better. You don't even need the Curse Whip active for the Crit Tech to just be better. I don't actually have Curse Whip active that often in this build. Got an Ascended Vampire Banshee, probably just gotta go Body Rune Signature of the big number. By all means. Be proud of me. Deep clean my room, like deep. Clean so much, parts by carpet straight up haven't seen in years. I feel like you do this every couple years, but, you know, that's a good habit to be in. I'm proud of you. You're right. I am proud of you. Still looking for a good Curse of Malice. Now, Reviver with extra projectile just looks scary. Like, that damage looks pretty compelling, does it not? 4694 times 2? With a decent crit base with that one crit part, like... An Ascended Quaking Thunder? Where are you? You're trying. Imminent Calamity with Radius and 2 cooldown parts. 8-second base is a really fast cooldown, especially for a multi-charge. That's like Arc Torrent territory. But base 0 crit. I think you really want crit parts on this thing. It can also get an extra projectile, I think. You get ×2. So projectile crit is probably the play for it. If you're not doing From the Shadows. Sorry, thinking out loud. Sister's moving out, she had the bigger room. Steve clean to get bigger room. Makes sense. Makes sense. I'm tempted to run a speed test with how much my bitrate is tanking right now. Ugh. Hey Wolfie, how you doing? Is loading icons of the bank slow for everyone or just me? Makes the game horrible to play. UI is one of the weaknesses of this game. Yes, the bank is just kind of a horror show. I don't use my bank often, partially because of that. Like, there's a bunch of stuff buried in the back of my bank that I haven't bothered to clean out for a few months because it just takes so long to go back there. I'd honestly rather go into the files and just delete it and start fresh. The UI in this game shits itself often. But it's one of the only things I don't like about the game. That's something I really hope they take a look at going forward for Lands games. The UI has just been kind of getting worse with every entry for a while now. Like, the last game that didn't do UI downgrades was TPS. Makes you just want to delete the game. If the bank alone makes you want to delete the game, then you are looking for a reason to delete the game. Like, it sucks. It's not that big a deal, because guess where your bank isn't relevant while you're playing the game. But if you're looking for a reason and you want that to be it, I won't stop you. It's ultimately up to you. No more fully rendered guns in inventory. Yeah, the fully rendered icons is, we don't need that. We also don't need a third of our inventory screen being a character model that is now also obstructed by item cards, so you can't even see it to begin with. We don't need that. Get new loot, go to compare what I have in the bank. I'm literally there 20 minutes and should take a minute or two. I mean, yes, I know. We went over this. There we go. Also news, started my Masters last week. Let's go, Cal. Let's fucking go. Making big moves. Super proud of you.
This should be interesting.
Stay back. That might have been a mistake. Like a section that shows all your combined stats, like the crit breakdown, but comprehensive. I like that as well. They made progress with the hero stats screen showing your crit chance breakdown. That's nice. You know, they show your Dark Magic Leech as well, your loot luck, your class power. This is good, but it's still very rudimentary. I'd like other stuff to show up here. But steps forward, steps forward. It's worth noting that they have done several updates recently to make things more accurate to what they say they do. So, like, they changed the Vibing Enchant to do what it says it does. They changed the Spellblade to do what it says it does. So I'm hopeful that that means that's something they're more committed to going forward. Armor is your character wearing? I'm wearing a Mosquito's Mantle currently. After the adjustment, Mosquito Mantle is no longer nightmarishly powerful. It's still very good, but it's no longer disgusting to the point where I don't want to use it because it is more impactful than my entire build. Now it's just a part of the build. Other good armors for this setup include Tyrant's Truth, Claw. If you're very, very cheeky, you could probably make an Amnesia work, but, like, good luck. Reviving enchantment, sweet boy. It's still good for gun builds. It's just for a lot of melee and non-gun stuff in general, it did get less desirable. Thank you, Exy Blade. While surviving also made tank builds even less desirable, made the curse wit easier to choose. Very true. There's much more reason to just accept that you're not going to be at full HP. And technically speaking, vibing being less desirable and desperate moving up to take its place in a lot of builds means you're more tanky. Hey Rohit, it has been a minute. I hope you're well. How's C100 treating me? It's treating me well. We're doing a climb up to C100 right now. We're on our way to unlock 96 in a couple rooms. But I have played at 100 a bit, and I do enjoy it. I did sort of a segmented full climb on stream. I did some characters up to 57, and then I did some characters up to 60, and then I did a different one from 60 onwards. This is the one that I've done the most climbing with, just because this is the one I'm most curious about playing on stream. Because Hammer Throw is one of the builds that I was worried wouldn't survive the update between the higher enemy HP and the Spellblade change. But it ended up coming out stronger than the version we had before. So it's cool when difficulty increases and item rebalancing makes you reevaluate a build. I live for that shit. Which class won the patch? I mean, there's no class that won or anything. And class balance didn't change, really. Which one got the short end? No one got the short end. What is vibing? What happened to it? Vibing is this enchant. While health is full, gain 25% gun damage, 25% crit damage. The way this used to work is it did not give you gun damage or crit damage. It gave you 25% conditional damage that only applied to guns and 25% conditional damage that only applied to crits. So yes, if gun crit, you got 50. But it was conditional damage, not gun damage, not crit damage. Now, it does exactly what it says it does. The 25% gun damage is just gun damage and it's for guns. The 25% crit damage is just crit damage and it's also just for guns. So they simply changed it to do what it says it was doing. Which did work out to it getting weaker. But it does what it says it does. I missed. Ouch. XC Blade W. Just got the game, still learning. Welcome in, Stu Dog. How you liking the game so far? What Blight Collar mixed with Stab? Powerful combo. Very powerful combo. Get out of the wall, Skeep. Or hang out on the wall. Your choice. Join it? Glad to hear. If you could and want to, how do you summarize the different classes played as someone new? Not sure what I'd start with. So all classes can kind of do everything. It's just certain classes have certain strengths. So, like, if you're trying to do gun stuff, the standouts would be Blight Caller, Spell Shot, Spore Warden. If you're trying to do melee stuff, then you're most likely looking at Stabomancer, Blight Caller, Berserker, Clawbringer. If you're trying to do spell stuff, you're looking at Spell Shot for sure. Secondary class, likely Graveborn. That's generally the most optimal spellcaster. If you want a tanky class, then you're looking at either Berserker, Graveborn, Blightcaller. If you want super glassy, then you're likely looking at Spellshot, Stabbo. It's just difficult to level up and find what to use. My advice there is to take your time. Experiment as much as possible. A lot of people treat this like a race. It's not. Hotfix notes are live. Ooh, let's go over that. Thank you, Hunch. I kind of forgot it was Thursday. Let's see what we got. Okay. A 1.0.6.0b. OBOB. 6th week of Chaos in the World. Great White. Magical Splotch. Is that right? I feel like we've had Great White before. I guess this is a repeat. Isn't Magical Splotch also a repeat? I digress. Featured Celissa, Blue Hat. Looks like it's just a rotation of the event and the featured. Cool. Cool. Short and sweet. Sharks a repeat? Cool. Hitboxes. There we go. They didn't fix the bug where I missed my headshots. 0 out of 10 update. Flib's aim is still Flib's aim. Damage. Hey, Asa, how are you? Stupid question, are black powder guns any good? Black powder guns are very good. Hey, Moveface. What? So, like, this isn't spectacular, but it looks pretty. It looks pretty. It's 5 Oath of Fire on an Ascended Mosquito. It's got gun crit chance. Ability damage would help play the angles. It's got secondary spore power, so like, I guess there's that. Missing health's always a good passive to have. And it's the cooldown kind of Mosquito. The action skill cooldown. It's always cooldown Mosquito. Action skill cooldown kind. Like, I'm gonna take it just because it's a +5. Be possible to show the drop weightage on the gear at 100. I mean, I can just tell you. I'd have to switch characters to show you, but I can just tell you. Multiple types of Mosquito. Yeah, there's spell cooldown and action skill cooldown. Sure. Alright, 51.6% ascended at 100. The rest is primordial. So 51.6 ascended, remainder primordial. So I don't know how they changed that. You no longer get non-chaotic gear at 50. At 64, you no longer get chaotic. At 75, you no longer get volatile. So by the time you reach Chaos 75, all your gear that's dropping is primordial or better, and then at C100, a majority of your gear is ascended. A great way they added different new legendary suits pool. First time was Trick Mirror, this time it's Full Battery and Frozen Orb. Frozen Orb not being locked behind Bark is huge for farming a good one. That's true. Yeah, before you'd have to World Drop or Bunny Farm Frozen Orb, but with this event, World Drop, Bunny Farm, or go to Bark. With this event, you can just do that instead. Are these events active for, like, playthroughs? I imagine that might be fun. Getting stuff you couldn't normally get in a playthrough, like Chaos Chamber exclusive stuff. That's an Ascended Body Rune with health. I'll take it. Sure you're happy, Cursed Wit. Not for this build. Different build, though.